Gentlemen, you're in for a treat today because there's a moment in this episode where TJ, aka Warrior Dad Baird, describes looking in one direction and seeing the aftermath of war, then turning and seeing the pristine snow and sunlight in the other direction. Two worlds, two paths. That image becomes the heartbeat of this conversation. It was in this challenge and it was in this spot in his life that the warrior dad was born, but it was born at a cost. He wrote this book called Warrior Dad, and it was written as a tribute to his daughter, who he calls his star, whose light guided him through every deployment and ultimately brought him back home. And in this conversation, TJ is going to open up about how he watched himself repeat parts of his own father's story. The moment he realized that he was done, absolutely done, living in the dark, and his wife had a huge hand in that, and so did his daughter. This is not a military story. This is a fatherhood story. It's also a redemption story. It's a beautiful story. It's a powerful reminder that no matter how far you've gone, there's always a path towards the light. Gentlemen, this is TJ Baird, aka the Warrior Dad. Let's get into it. What's up, TJ? Welcome to Dad Edge, man. So good to have you here.
Thanks, Larry. Really appreciate you. And then in the background, you see Macaroni hanging out. He's my faithful companion over the last 6-7 years.
Wait, did you say macaroni?
Macaroni, yes. It was
Get out of here.
Back when I got him, Mac, when I got him out of the shelter, he's a rescue. And my daughter's like, oh my gosh, we're calling him Macaroni. So he goes by a lot of nicknames. Oh, yeah.
That's so cool. So macaroni. So wait. So you rescued, he's a service dog.
He is. So he's a rescue. And then over the years, I've got him trained, and we're still in some of the later training process. We've got one thing we got to get, we've got to work on. That's the UPS truck, because he just wants to ride in them. Oh, yeah. He'll chase that thing down in a heartbeat.
I don't know what it is, man, about that. Like, so like back then, how old are you, by the way?
51.
Okay. I'm 50. So like we're the same age. We used to call it the brown ups truck when we saw it as a kid. It's like, hey, the ups truck's coming.
Yes.
Yeah. But like, it's funny you're saying this because we've had dogs. And it's like, what is it about the mailman and the UPS driver when they see those two vehicles? Like they go absolutely berserk, and it's not the same as when they see like somebody else. But like I'm wondering, like we see UPS, or we see USPS, and we're like, oh, it's mail. But I'm wondering if dogs are like, the end of the world's coming.
For him, he just wants to get in the truck, sit on the center console, and just look at him like, hey, when are we going? That's what he wants to do.
All right. So real question then, has he ever jumped in the truck?
Oh yeah. So so we were in Texas, and I just got him out of the shelter. We were walking around. He was freaking out. Two of the UPS trucks were back to back. They were exchanging packages, I guess, while on the route, whatever. He comes up, and the truck driver's like, hey, is he me? He's like, no, I think he just wants to be on the truck. So yeah, they got him in there. He jumped right on the console, feet on the top of the console, looking out the dashboard, and he's looking around like, when are we driving this thing? Oh yeah.
Your UPS driver is a good sport, man.
Oh yeah, it was amazing.
Usually they I have UPS. I mean, like Amazon, all that, like, right? Like my dog, he's a mini Bernedoodle. This dog is 28 pounds of just fluffiness, and he's the tricolor and all that. Like literally, like if you look at him, even if you thought for like even a half a second that this dog would be a vicious dog, you'd be like, oh, he's not. So like, it's funny, man. He's like, is he friendly? And he's like wagging his tail, like, oh, somebody new, it's like, and I'm like, yes, he's totally friendly. But like literally they'll pause, but like, we've never had a UPS driver that'd be like, oh yeah, like, can the dog sit in the passenger seat for a minute or get in the car? That's great.
It was awesome.
So macaroni, that's cool. So man, like I want to start with how you grew up, because I think it's so telling, right, on what you're doing today. But you grew up with a dad in the military that, quite frankly was off doing military things and wasn't around a lot. So tell me what that was like.
Yeah. So I grew up in Virginia Beach and lived there all my life because my dad was stationed at Oceana. The only time we actually moved was to go to Japan for 3 years, which was amazing. Great story about being a child in a soy sauce commercial in Japan. Fantastic. Yeah, right. It was crazy. And then when we got back from Japan back to Virginia Beach. We moved 3 houses down from where we left. It was a great neighborhood. Yeah. And all the time my dad was with us. He was deployed a lot. He was an aircraft jet mechanic, so assigned to an aircraft carrier, and they get deployed quite a bit. Even while we're in Japan, he was gone a lot. And I mean, a lot. I would say for the 3 years we were there, he was maybe home for 6 or 7 months combined. Right, because they're deployed quite a bit. It was during the Cold War and everything else, so they were out and about quite a bit. And they come back to Oceana and Virginia Beach, same thing. And then eventually, my mom and my dad grew apart, and they got a divorce. And my dad didn't live too far down the road, but there was some resentment there. Obviously, as a young kid, there was a lot of resentment from my dad leaving, a lot of support from my mom and everything. And as I grew up, I realized I do not want to be that dad who's away from his child. And I did join the Army at 17, came right out of college, good Lord. Came out of high school and joined the Army because I was not ready for school. I didn't want to, and oddly enough, first thing I did is I went to go learn a language. I had to learn Spanish in 6 months. And if you didn't do it, you were needs of the Army, they'll transfer you to a different job, what they need you to do. So you had to buckle down and really learn how to focus. So I learned a lot right in my first year in the Army, learned a lot about who I am and what I want to do, focus, discipline, everything. It was incredible. But as I get back with my dad, as I grew up and then I got married, and then when my daughter was born, I wasn't ready. At the time I was deploying quite a bit. I was training quite a bit. I was not ready. I didn't want to, well, not say I didn't want to settle down. I just knew in my heart that if I had to keep doing this, doing what my nation's asked me to do, I will be like my dad. I won't be there for it. And that's exactly what happened. Just 20 deployments, 9 of them in combat, 8 of them actually seeing combat. My last one, I was a brigade sergeant major, so not in charge, but helping lead 700 some odd-ish people. But yeah, I was gone a lot, and then when I divorced my ex, who is an amazing lady, she's a great mother and a great person. But again, we just grew apart over time. We were young when we married, and we just life happens. And then I saw my daughter in the summers and everything else, but it still, as I look back and reflect on all these things, I ended up being what my dad was doing. He just wasn't home. And now I'm reconnected with my daughter, which is amazing. Just spent the last little bit over Christmas, last few weeks with her over Christmas time and into in the early parts of January. I think I spent more quality time with her than I've had in the part of the last few years. It's been amazing. Yeah.
Wow. And I know you have a brother, at least, right?
Yeah.
And do you have any other siblings?
I do. So I have an identical twin brother. So yeah. So
wait, is the same brother you're at? So like that's why you told me like if you were to see me, you'd see my brother?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If you walked in here right now, you'd have a shock look. I mean, your face would be more shocked. It's amazing.
The glasses and everything?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Really?
It's
wild. Yeah. Okay. Real quick, just side note here. Did you guys ever fool your parents?
Not my mom, but my dad. Not my mom, but my dad. Yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, I knew I was getting in trouble. He yelled for me, and I was like, and my brother didn't hear it. I'm like, hey, Derek, I want you. I don't know what it's for. So we get my brother gets just a big chew, and he comes back. He's like, dude, that's not cool. I was like, that's pretty funny.
Oh my gosh, are you serious? How many times did you guys? Oh, yeah. Was it more than once?
Oh yeah. We caught each other all the time on that stuff. Yeah, we switched. Oh my God, school a couple of times. It was hilarious. Just see if we could do it.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's like so. There's identical brothers, right? And then there's like I don't know who's who. Identical brothers. Like I was back in high school. I was friends with these 2 dudes. They were Andy and Tony. They were identical, so it was like I don't know, like 8 of us dudes that always kind of hung out, but it was always Andy and Tony that was in the group, and they were the best looking ones. So the girls always loved them. I'm not even kidding when I say that they swapped girlfriends a couple times and they didn't know. I'm like, and then the funny thing was, we were like, you guys should do, and we said it in joking, and they're like, you guys should do that. And they kind of looked at each other and they were like, should we? And then they put together this diabolical plan where they did, and they took each other's girlfriends out on a date. One girl caught on, the other one didn't. Like the other one, she was like, she knew like right away, and then she thought it was funny, and like, of course, but like the other one was like, had no clue. And we were like, but the funny thing was too, is like, we'd go out, and of course we meet girls and stuff like that. And Andy would be like, a girl would be into Andy, and Andy would be like, dude, I'm not really digging this girl. And Tony would be like, well, I kind of like her. He'd be like, well, why don't you just talk to her? And like, anyway, but
see what happens from there. That's
right. See what happens from
like
there.
Wingman.
It's like Wingman on steroids, right?
That's awesome.
So was he your only sibling?
No. So I have an older sister and 2 younger sisters.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, my younger sisters are much, much younger than I am.
Man.
And they're amazing. All 4 of my siblings are very amazing. They're very successful.
So your dad was gone a lot. Your mom raising 5.
Well, 3 kids. My other sisters are my dad's from his other marriage.
Okay.
But one thing, it's very interesting. So my sister and my brother, when our 2 younger sisters were born, we made a conscious decision to say, hey, they're not our half sisters. They are our sisters.
Yeah.
And I think some years ago, we're all together, and they actually commented on that. They said, you never treated us any differently than you're just being your sisters. Like, yeah, you are our sisters. Regardless of what my parents did, we're not taking that out on you. And again, we were like 17, 18 years old when they were born, or 6, something like that. It was when my youngest sister was born. So we did not want them to feel any different than you hear some horror stories on that. But we did not at all in our lives ever make them feel any different than they were just our sisters, because they're totally our sisters, and they're amazing. All 3 of my sisters are amazing. And my brother's amazing. So, yeah.
You know what's so cool about that? Let's just talk about, let's just, really, really create a good point here. What it means, because like blended family dynamics are really, really tough. But I think if people have that vision of like, hey, we might not be blood, but we're blood. Okay. Like, and this is the way we're going to operate as a family, right? We're not operating in 2 different silos. We are family. And I just love the fact that, because that doesn't happen all the time.
And that's why when we saw that with other families in our neighborhood, some of the kids and everything, and in our school, and we didn't want that to happen at all. And and then they were, eventually moved down to Florida, so that was even further apart. But yeah, we stay connected with family. So but we never thought of them other than like our family. Yeah.
Curiosity. Did your parents create that foundation, or was it more like the siblings made that decision?
Us, my siblings. Mm-hmm.
What a very mature thing to do.
Yeah.
Like that's, you don't hear that like really ever. So that's awesome, man.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah. You got to give a shout out to my sister, my older sister. She's the one who kind of brought us all together, because she's obviously older. It's like, hey, we're doing this. Like, it is not their fault. We're not going to treat them any different than we treat each other. I was like, well, I mean, growing up, we treat each other pretty terrible. We're sisters. So, your sibling rivalry and stuff like that. She's like, whatever, we're going to do the same with them. I was like, perfect.
That's great, man. That is great. Your dad, I don't want to bring up anything that might be hard to talk about. Is your dad still with us?
Oh yeah, he is. Yep.
Okay.
He is. He and my stepmom Lynn are down in Florida, and then my mom is alive and well, and she's out in Arizona.
Okay. So just to kind of put the spotlight on your dad, because I mean, obviously he was gone a lot, man, like 6-7 months and 3 years, and sounds like you didn't have a whole lot of attention from him growing up. But like, what's the relationship like now?
It's good.
Good.
I have a good relationship. Well, yeah, it's I mean, obviously there's some sticking points on there, which we talked to him about when he doesn't just like all of us, right? Sometimes you say something, you don't realize it, and I'm like, hey, Pop, you have to understand, like, remember when? Let's go back to the way back and just bring this all the way forward. And I am a very stubborn individual, and I get that from my father. So sometimes those conversations are tough, but we do them. And one thing he did, both of my parents are stubborn and then forthright with people. and don't be afraid to have those hard conversations. So that's one of the things that when we do that with my dad, he'll push back a little bit. And so we'll have some good some stern conversations, not yelling and screaming, but we will definitely, and not heated, but we will definitely get through some very challenging discussions, and we're not afraid to hit those head on. So I'm glad both my parents instilled that in all of their kids. Yeah.
That's great, man. That's another family dynamic that you don't see every day. People can't, especially nowadays, can't have conversations without absolute disasters happening. But it's like when you have that foundation of like, hey, we can actually have hard conversations, and it's actually really okay. And we can actually walk away from those conversations being better. So, which is great. And then the other thing too, I want to point out, TJ, is that if you ever want to avoid a conversation, but you want to have it, just send in Derek, right?
Oh yeah, right. Oh God, yeah, heck yeah.
Derek, I need you to talk to Dad about this. I don't want to.
So funny, we do that though. We'll call my sister in. She was definitely Daddy's little girl growing up. So sometimes we'll call Tanya and say my sister, like, hey, we should talk to Pop. He's not listening to us, so talk to OGB, old grumpy bastard.
OGB. Oh my gosh. There you go. We'll have that in the show notes for you guys. Oh man, that is good. My dad too, he's 77 years old, but you look at him, he looks like he's 60. He looks really young. But still totally fully functional. Like, I mean, like has all of his marbles and then some, still very active. Like, but yeah, sometimes like it's a little tough for me and my brothers. Sometimes I have conversations with him. So it's like, hey, Grant, or, it's like, but we're not twins. But okay. So, your story of, going into the military, at 17, got to learn Spanish, you got to do all these different things. Right. But then you get pregnant with your oldest daughter, and then you start to, by the way, I don't think I've ever had anybody on the show who's been deployed 20 times. So first of all, thank you for your service. By the way, that sounds so cliche, and I feel like in a way it sounds really robotic, but I want you to know that comes from the heart, because we would not be able to enjoy the freedoms that we have in this country without you guys fighting for them. So, and you in particular, 20 deployments. I mean, you think about the time of your own life that was sacrificed away from your own family, but the question of, when did you start to maybe see some of the similarities of like, oh my gosh, like I'm kind of repeating history here?
Yeah. So it's, my daughter was born, and fortunately I was teaching at the time. Then I got out of the teaching mode and really right back into deploying again. That's what we had to do. And before I forget, I want to say, as you thanked me for my service and those of other military members that either currently serve or have served, I would say this, and this is my response. I got this from a longtime friend: is everybody in this country is worth serving. Is why we do it. Everybody in this country is worth serving. So, well, thank you, because you're allowing us to get our voice out, and not just me, but everybody. So again, everybody plays a role, and thanks a lot. And then when it comes to my daughter and being away, I realized that as I came home, I missed some birthdays, I missed some anniversaries, obviously, and then my daughter was growing up. Now, I was fortunate to be with her when she had when she walked for the first time, and her first word. So I was and it was shoe. It was phenomenal. That's her first. Oh yeah. She and I still laugh about that. Shoes, everything. Shoes. And it would be something else. And she brought my glasses one time. They're all twisted up. And she's like, shoes. I'm like, broken glasses. Thanks. And I retwisted or put them on my head like this. Right. It was amazing.
That's when you can be like, so you used your shoe to step on these. That's why they look like, no, I'm kidding. Okay.
Right. But over the time, she was growing up, and I would just see it in fits and starts, like, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then we got my ex-wife, we got separated, then we got divorced, and I would see her over the holidays, and again, fits and starts. She's just growing up in this amazing young girl, and then into a teenager, and then into a young adult now, and all it is are fits and starts. I just see pieces of it. And I would go out and fly out to see her. She would come and fly out to see me. But again, it's just those little bits and pieces along the way. And that's when I realized, I am like my father, where he was gone a lot and serving. And I realize now obviously why he served, why he was gone, and all the times he tried to connect with us, and we were pushing back because we were angry that he was gone and everything else. And so I now understand from his side, like, I'm sure it hurt him that we pushed back and that we were angry with him. And not all of us made the greatest decisions in our lives, but at the end of the day, family's family. And now that I realize that, and as I go to continue to connect with my daughter, because I was gone for so long, but now that I'm retired, and she lives like 7 hours down the road, literally due west of me, I have time, and I told her I'm making that time. So whenever she's got breaks in school, this or that else, or she needs help around the house, or needs someone to cat sit for, I'm in the car and I'm moving. I just bring my computer with me and we can work from anywhere. Yeah.
I think the most important question right now is, does Macaroni get along with the cat?
No. No. In fact, he never barked. The first time he barked is when my wife, now, we were in a pet store and we walked by the cats and he just lunged. I'm like, oh, okay, not a cat guy.
Not a cat.
Never barked until then. That was like several weeks later. I was like, now I hit on the cats.
Might have had a little run-in with some bad cat experiences or something like that before he was rescued. But so obviously, now, right, we're really trying to make up for some time and that kind of thing. Were there times of like animosity, your daughter towards you, of not being able to be there? Obviously the deep desire was there, right? Even from you experiencing this firsthand growing up of what this felt like, but were there major rifts along the way? And if so, how did you handle that?
Yeah, I don't know about major rifts. I know there were times where she was disappointed, and I could see that in her face. I could hear, and she told me there were some that were more recent than others. So Veronica lived with me for her last 2 years in school, so her junior and her senior year. Yeah, it was awesome. And even during those times, I was gone and not so much deployed, but traveling because of my job. And she was a lead in a play, and I had to travel. So I went to go, at least I went to the full dress rehearsal. I told her, I said, kiddo, this is something there are critical things dad has to do, and this is one of them. So I went to the full dress rehearsal. So I got to see everything, just not the actual, night of the play and everything. Her grandmom came out, which is good to see it. And so I know Veronica was very disappointed about that. And then I just remember when she was 6 years old, and I've had multiple concussive events, so it was a mild traumatic brain injury, and with all things that go with that. And I remember, you can imagine a 6-year-old girl as her dad's coming down the stairs. I was a very fit man back in the day, a very fit dude. And her standing up to me and saying, Dad, I want to go home. This is over the summer. Oh yeah, because you're too scary. Yeah. Yeah. And in that moment, brother, you see all the movies where people like start bawling and fall to their feet. You're like, no one does that stuff. Oh yeah. Like instantly, I was like, Dad, I just, bam, it was like, I was like, what the heck is going on here? And I made a promise to her right then and there. Hey, kiddo, okay, I don't want you to leave, but and then we talked it out. She literally, like a 6-year-old girl. I said, hey, kiddo, Dad's going to get better. And I made a promise to her, and it took a long road. That road was not instant, and it was not easy, and there were fits and starts. It's like, now I'm not an alcoholic, but I have some family members that are, that came off the wagon, on the wagon. And as I started to get better and better and better, that's exactly how it was with me. But my daughter was there every time to light the path in front of me. And so I tell her, V-Star, the shining light in my life, is because she lit that path for me to get reforged to who I am today. Oh, yeah.
Which she's even the inspiration behind your book, correct?
Oh, yeah. The 2 books, yeah. She is. She gave me this little beanie baby bear right before I deployed for my last time. And I took a bunch of pictures with him. This guy went everywhere. He went up in an F-16 with a friend of mine. It was amazing. Oh, yeah, a buddy of mine's a pilot. He went here, did this, or where I traveled, this and everything else. And then so I started writing haikus about him doing all these fun things. I take him to the range with me. He'd go shooting with us, do this, do that. And then I just had all these haikus. And then through my journey, I started inserting him into my other memories as if he's watching us doing all these things, and mainly my combat deployments. And so I've had a bunch of series of haikus about that. And then eventually I started combining them over the last, I'd say I've probably been writing, the last 7 years I've been writing about Cool Bear and everything else. And I just made, so now The Adventures of Cool Bear is a children's book. It'll be several volumes. And then Warrior Dad is about a dad. And that's a series of poems and odes. That's talks about a dad leaving to go to deploy. And his daughter is a young girl. They're holding hands as he's going to his blue Jeep. And over the course of the book, you see her grow up. You see all the things that he's done over his time deployed, or it's an amalgamation of all these different deployments. And at the very end, they're back home again in the driveway, and she is a young adult, and they're holding each other. And it is, to write that story has taken me a long time. And then every time I read the ode, if I'm reviewing it and everything else like that, it just gets me, like, it took me a long time to write the last one. It probably took me several months to write the last one. Although it was in my head the whole time. I had to stop writing because I was just like tears all over my keyboard, all over the paper. I was like, oh my gosh. And then when I put it on the keyboard, on the, from written to the computer, and I still read it today, and it's still well up, and it's very powerful. And I've had some friends read it who are fathers and mothers. So even though it says Warrior Dad, it's my story. It is for all parents, not just military. That book is about telling your kids, I am here for you. I think about you wherever I am in the world, wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, you're always in my thoughts. And she knows it. I've told her you're the inspiration for these books, and it's been amazing. It's been helping me out too, getting through all the things I've been through. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting it out there and published so that others can read it. So they get, and then inspire them to talk to their family. Doesn't just have to be their children. Maybe they'll talk to their parents. Maybe they'll talk to their grandparents, depending on how old you are and everything else. But it's just an opportunity for folks to maybe understand where I've been in my life, and maybe have the courage to talk to their family members and say, hey, you know what, I love you very much. And if they have a great connection, that's great. And if they don't have a great connection, hey, rebuild it, because family is the most important thing. There's a lot that goes on in the world, but at the finish line is you hear this a lot in the military, especially in the Army. Your family will be the ones at the finish line. The Army won't. You'll get out. Your business will, you'll do whatever happens at the very end. It is your family that's going to be there with you. And that, I learned that. It took me a while to learn it, but when I did, it has been a huge blessing for me and my family. So yeah. Yay, Veronica.
Yay, Veronica is right.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, it's amazing the power that they can have. I have 4 boys. I can wholeheartedly relate to moments like that. But before I get to another question here, from one author to another, I wrote my first book in 2015, so it's be 11 years old this year. And I didn't really get it when I wrote that book. And then I wrote a couple kids books, kind of like you did. And then I wrote Spirit of Fatherhood, which was more of a faith-based approach to fatherhood. And then my latest book, Pursuit of Legendary Fatherhood. The thing that I really got after writing those books is I was like, this isn't only for the people who's going to read it, but what a tremendous healing process and reflective process. And, I encourage, even if you don't ever publish a book, like actually, writing these things out, thinking through them, discerning them, and putting them into words and being reflective is tremendous for the author as well.
Yes.
Isn't it? Yeah.
I agree. And then on my website, I have a thing called the Creative Forge, and on there has some of the haikus that I've written, a couple of the odes, but it has my award-winning poem on there, and it is called Reforged. And at the bottom of that, I've got some, I was at a traumatic brain injury hospital down in Tampa, Florida, and for 10 weeks total. And I wrote something for them. I wrote a series of haikus for all of the specialists that helped us out. So there are a couple of those on my site, and it has the entire video on there as well for folks just to see the entire booklet, what I wrote, because it's just fun. I go back and I'll change the pictures that are on there, the gallery and stuff like that. I'll do that over time. But yeah, it is like you said, it is very cathartic. It's very restorative. And no matter what, either if you write or don't write, or even if you just sit back and meditate, just get a quiet place just to think about all of the people that make a huge difference in your life. And I mean a positive difference. When I'm feeling down or feeling, I start to beat myself up and everything. That's what I do. I just I say, okay, let me take a tactical pause and think about all the good things in my life instead of all the things that can make you spiral down into all the negativity. And I had to learn that. In fact, thank you for this. So it's called PrEP, a pre-deployment or post-deployment rehabilitation and evaluation program. Thanks to them and all the men and women there that helped us all out, is that now that I have the tools to get to that space, to stop that downward spiral and get me back up into where I need to be, which is a positive individual that I could actually be good for my family. And so, so thanks to them for everything they've done over the last 10 weeks, or I guess it was late last year. Yeah, that I was there.
I love that, man. I want to go back to, you served for how many total years?
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
32 years, 9 months, and 22 days. I will never forget that. It was on my orders to leave in the Army.
That is unreal. So
it was a long time.
That is a long time.
Yeah.
Was there a time in particular, besides, what you're talking about now? And I want to more focus on when you were away and deployed. Okay. Yeah. Was there, in one of those 20 deployments, was there one or two that were way more difficult for you than others? And if so, what was happening and why?
Yeah. So, again, 20 around the world, but and they were obviously difficult, but I think the hardest ones were the ones that I was obviously in the combat theater. One evening, and I won't say my friend's name, but it's in the book. It's actually it is the longest ode in the book. He saved my life. And after that, I just remember just sitting down and on a shredded cot from shrapnel. That's where I was sleeping at the time. And when I came back, and then I came back into the room and sat down on a shredded cot. I was like, oh my God, if it was not for this man, you and I would not be having this conversation. I'm on 22 plus years of borrowed time. Actually, I don't think 23 years. No, 22 plus years of borrowed time. And he knows it. And we talk. In fact, we were just talking on the drive down here. He's an amazing individual. And then on another night, pretty rough night. We were up on a spine of a ridge. It was snowing. And I just remember in the morning after a night of combat operations, you look on one side, you'd see the aftermath of all the combat operations. But then you look onto the east, and the sun was rising. And all you see is pristine snow, pristine fields of flowers and not flowers, usually trees and everything else like that. And just everything was glistening and pure. And then you look to the west, and you see it wasn't. It was everything that happened during that night. And as I look back and forth, I realized, oh my gosh, like this has been my life for so long. You just don't. We are so concentrated on the stuff on the west that we didn't really understand what was going on in the east, right? And that was, and then now as I look back on it, when I was down in Tampa, there was a mask that you get to paint this mask, and I just did it, split it right down the middle, white on one side, and everything else there with red and black and like for smoke and everything else, and then in the eyes, you can fill in the eyes a little bit. So there's a sunrise around where the eye is, and on the other side it's just red with tears coming down and everything else. So it is the dichotomy of war where you can actually, or combat, where you can actually see all the destruction on one side, but then you look to the left and you see, okay, there's a path to peace. And it doesn't just have to be combat. It could be anything in your life, right? It could be anything. It could be any crucible that we were going through at the time. But for me, that was cemented in me, and I realized, okay, so every time again, when I start going to this downward spiral, I have the mask at home. I've got one left there. I made another one, and I would show it to you. In fact, I wasn't going to show it to you on the podcast, but I was going to talk about it, but I'm with my brother right now, so I don't have it. But I remember then I said, okay, there's a path to peace, and I got to find it. And that is some very significant events for me. And then And then getting into these situations as you prepare for whatever it is that you're going to go into, just think, hey, this could be it. This could be, you never know when your card's going to be pulled. And heck, you can cross the street today. You can be in your car. You never know. Just listen to music, do whatever. And boom, your card gets pulled. And then you just, I'm going to say just hope it, but I would hope that maybe, if that does happen, God forbid, you said you loved your family, right? Whatever it is. So that's all I was thinking about these things. And a lot of my teammates were as well. It's like, hey, if this happens, I remember a buddy of mine was like, man, if this God, I hope I get back and tell my wife I love her, because we just had an argument. And the last thing I said, we didn't say great things to each other, but I know we love each other very much. I hope I make it. And he did. And he, no stuffing. He made the call and said, hey, look, I want to tell you all that. And you could hear both of them crying because there's so much love. But he's like, I want to let you know this because we're in such these dangerous situations. And I think about that for my wife now and my daughter and my whole family. And it's, but there is a pathway to peace. There is a pathway to being positive, to being healthy mentally. And we just have, but it's on us, right? A lot of people give us the tools, and it's just on us to get there, to want to do it, because it is not easy. It is very, very difficult. Very difficult.
Go any further, I want to pause here for just a second, because what TJ and I are talking about right now is exactly why the Dad Edge Alliance exists. If you're a man listening to this and you're carrying things all by yourself, you probably don't have a brotherhood that can be honest with you, or you can even be honest with them. You're also probably tired of white-knuckling marriage, fatherhood, leadership, and growth all on your own. This is exactly why I'm doing something for the very first time. I've never done this before, but on February 25th at 7 p.m. Central, I am going to be hosting an Alliance preview call. This is not a sales pitch. This is not a sales call. I'm simply pulling back the curtain on our brotherhood to show you how it actually works, how we support men through real life, and how we help each other grow without ego, without posturing, and without pretending that we have it all figured out. So if you're curious about this, if you've been listening to the Dad Edge podcast for quite some time and you've never checked this out, or you were a previous member at some point and you want to see all the brand new resources that we have, our brand new membership site, all the really cool things that we have going on this year, make sure you guys head on over right now to thedadedge.com/preview. Again, thedadedge.com/preview. You'll see a button to RSVP. I highly encourage you to RSVP, add it to your calendar, and I cannot wait to see you on Wednesday, February 25th at 7 p.m. Central. All right, back to the conversation. I would agree. It is difficult. Growth and trying to go towards that sunlight is difficult. It's very, very hard. There's a lot of people out there that just won't do it. There's a lot of people out there that want us that I don't think that they want to, but they don't look at the sun. They're looking at the east, right? And there's no way out, or there's nothing. They're telling themselves there's nothing I can do that's going to make this better. And while growth is scary, one thing I've heard from so many podcast guests, so many experts as yourself is, but the status quo, while it might be certain, like, right? Because I know, like, hey, I know what I'm going to get here, which is like, it's going to be this. But if I strive towards that sunlight, it could be good. I know it's a lot of work, but I'm a little uncertain of what that could look like. And plus, I'm also really, really afraid that if I go towards that sunlight, what if I fail? What if I don't grow? What if it's disastrous? What if I don't succeed? And we just sort of stay stuck in that liminal place of like, it's the east or the west. But that liminal place is also insanely uncomfortable. But what I've seen, and I'm guessing you have too, is until you start to say, surrender that ego and say, yes, I'm going to move towards the sun and I'm going to do this work. It's scary. It's hard. It's not easy. But I need to move towards that. But why do you think so many people will stay in that liminal place?
Really, I would go from my experiences because I lived it, and so I'll just go with that. Is I hate to say it, it's comfortable.
Yes,
it's comfortable, and then And you don't want that change because you hit it right. It is hard and you will fail. You will. I will tell you right now, it is not a perfect path. There are a bunch of obstacles along the way. Yeah. And you got to circumnavigate those obstacles one way or another. You just have to. And your friends and family, you've got to make sure your core network is there and they will be there. And you just have to accept them to be there because they're going to push you. They're not going to, if they're just like, oh, it's okay, it's this, and they're not pushing you, you got to get somebody else. You've got to get somebody or a group of somebody who are going to push you positively. Hey, you got to really and be there with you all the way. And sometimes, like for my wife, my daughter, my brother, my family, my really core group of friends, sometimes it was dragging. Let's go, buddy. Like, come on. You can't stop. You can't quit. And I know it's hard. You've got to do this. And then one of our specialists down at Tampa, she was mean. She was mean. Walk in there and said, "Have you ever been in combat?" No. I said, "What qualifies you to even have this conversation with me?" And when she bit back real hard, I'm like, ooh. And she would not let us quit. And we'd say, "Well, I'm not going to talk about that." She said, "Well, tell me, you're telling me about the situation, but it's very clinical. It's this, it's that. Like you're reporting on it. I want to know your emotions." Like, no, you're not getting those. But she broke it. Like I want to say she broke you, but she broke past your barriers. And I don't know how she did it, but over the course of those weeks, I remember talking to my teammates that were going through it, and they'd come out like streaks of tears coming down. I'm like, bro. So I'd go in there and come out, streaks of tears. I'm like, bro. But she forced us, encouraged us, broke through our barriers so that we could actually start talking about all the things that are going on that are internal to us and how we can reforge ourselves to make ourselves better for our family and friends. And it was amazing, but you're right. It is hard. And it's incumbent on the person. No matter who's around you, no matter who's helping you, what tools you have. You know, the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. That is true. You can get all these tools, but the only person that can make you change is a dude with 2 thumbs pointed at him. And that's it. And that's for everybody. So, my challenge to everybody who's listening is take on the challenge. You will be better. You will definitely be reforged at the end. It is amazing because at the end of the day, if you just stay status quo, then you're status quo. And you're reaching for the light and reaching to reforge yourselves, it can't hurt you. It can only make you better. And so at the end of the day, and we won't be the same person. And we're not trying to be the same person. A even told us that you're not going to be the same person. We're not trying to recreate this person from the past. We're trying to take what we have right now, and reforge them into something better than we are when we started. Maybe not better overall, but better than when we started, so we could be with our families and our friends and be part of society and be a positive person in society. And it was been amazing. I would tell you this, if we had this conversation 10 years ago, all this that I'm talking about right now would never have happened, ever, because I would never have told you, because I was that person who was not ready to be shaped and reforged. I wasn't. It just took me a long time. It took me, my daughter was talking to me in 2012 when she was 6 years old. It literally took me till fits and starts, but finally till 2019, 20 to actually start getting healthy mentally. It was a long time, but again, fits and starts. But when I finally decided, okay, well, I am ready to make the actual change, it was kind of moment. It was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing.
What was it that gave you permission to do that? Because I agree with you. I was there too. I think it's I'm reading this book right now. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's called Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy. I'm only in chapter 4 right now. People ask me all the time, in our community, what are the best books you've ever read? And I'm like, well, and I can always point to like, I've read so many books, but I can always pinpoint like 3 or 4 that I'm always like, this one, but this new one, Inner Excellence, I'm only on chapter 4, but everything that you're talking about is in that, is like giving yourself permission to do that. And I'm actually on that chapter right now where it's like, You have to give yourself no matter. So it literally in the book, he talks about you can have an arsenal of every tool imaginable at your disposal, at your fingertips to do the work, but you still have to be the one that says yes to it. And the biggest roadblock for most people is exactly that, is giving yourself permission, surrendering that ego. Can you go back to that moment? You mentioned in there like 2019, 2020, you're like, okay, that's it. Like, what was that's it?
Okay. Yeah. So not too many people have heard this story. And I'll give a shout out to another friend of mine who's been with me through several of my deployments and everything else like that. And I had a pistol and it was laying on my bed. And I would never load it, but everything, but the magazine was there, the magazine was loaded and everything else. And I would just look at it and look at it and look at it. And then this is years ago, this guy, and then finally I called my friend. I came in, are you still doing match shooting and you still doing stock? He's like, yes. I said, I got a pistol for you. And he didn't ask any questions. He's like, all right, I'll come over and get it right now. Asked no questions. Yep. He knew.
He knew.
Oh yeah, he knew. And he came over like right away. And at that point, I unloaded everything, he put it back in the box and everything, and he took it away. At that point, that's when I started. That's when I first gave myself permission. But then it was still fits and starts. And then in 2019, my wife and I were talking, and she's like, hey, I love you. Your daughter loves you. We cannot live like this anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, you have done this in fits and starts, and we need you to be with us. And I, kind of went into that denial, like, you don't understand. And she's like, oh, I understand, but I'm here. And because she's also in the Army. She's still in the military. And she's been deployed quite a bit too. She's like, I've seen a lot as well.
Wow.
And so she left, not left, like she just left the room, whatever. And I sat down and I really had no stuff had come to Jesus moment. Like, hey, I am, over the last several years, I pushed my friends away. I pushed my family away. And she hit it right on the head. Like, hey, like, it cannot hurt you. Like, what, you're just going to stay like this, angry, mad at yourself. And it wasn't so much I was angry at people. I was angry at myself. And she's like, it's like, just getting help isn't going to hurt you. It will help you because you're already in this well. And I was deep in the well. And yeah, I just remember sitting there. And at the time, I had another dog another pit bull, Piglet, amazing dog. She was great. And the reason we called her Piglet because she did snort like a pig. And she was laying across my lap. And I'm holding her. She just looked up at me like, buddy, you gotta get your help, son. And dogs give you that look. They know, like, hey, pal, you gotta do something. And right then and there, I made a decision. Okay, I'm gonna do this. And so an hour or two later, I came up to my wife and I said, hey, I'm gonna need help. It's not gonna be easy, and I'm sure I'm gonna falter along the way. I just need you to help me and please be with me. And she's like, yes, because I remember when you were this very healthy individual, this, everything else. It's like, I know I'm not going to get the exact same person back, but I want someone pretty close. And it still took me years. It took me a long time. And we got there. Well, we got there. But again, it came down to me to do it. And it's been amazing. So that moment right there is just knowing that the ultimatum, hey, we love you, but we can't keep doing this. And that's actually in my award-winning poem, and is a highlight of really I would say the start of the actual journey. Where there's fits and starts and everything else, but I mean the actual start of the journey when I decided, like, yes, I'm going to do this. And then, and I would say the journey for me internally, I said, I'm going to do this. And it was a huge relief. It was a massive relief for me. I felt like this weight was off my shoulder. I could do this. And I went in finally and I did it. And I was a very senior guy at the time. And so when I went into our behavioral health specialist, people were like, well, you could do it. call in, you can do this, you're a senior guy, you don't want people to see. I was like, I do want people to see me. I want these young servicemen and women to know that a sergeant major in the Army, which is the highest enlisted rank you can attain, walks in there and sits in that reception. And I've actually had soldiers say, hey, Sergeant Major, why are you here? I said, because just like you, I am reforging myself, and I'm going to make myself a better person, a better human being for my family, my friends. And all these young cats were looking at me like, you're kidding me. You're not here to see who's here and who, like, to take notes on who's here at the reception. I was like, no, I'm here to get better, just like everybody else. And so for you all, congratulations for being here. You took the first step in your lives. Well done. I said, it took me a long time to get here. And so I'm glad you're not doing what I did. So keep at it. And I've had soldiers come up to me afterwards, and I talk about this. Now they open up a lot more about it. I've had young soldiers come and say, hey, thank you for telling me your story, because now it's helping me. I said, good. Now you tell your story to others. It cannot just be me. The story has to be told, so that others can go on that path to being reforged and making themselves a better version of themselves. Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
you're married to a wonderful woman.
She's amazing. Oh my God, she's amazing.
Well, truth be told, I want to reflect back, and then I want to ask you one more question about having the right men in your life, the brotherhood to help you get through things, because I know a lot of men in your position and a lot of other positions, and I think for most men, you don't even have to be, in the military and be deployed and see all the awful things that you have that they just can't. It's difficult for them to make that decision. But, in 2017, my wife, I was going through a really hard time. I won't get into it for the sake of time. Actually, a lot of the audience knows what I kind of went through in 2017. I basically went through a really horrific experience, and ended up having PTSD, and ended up having to go through 8 months of counseling. Same thing. I was, very anxious, very angry, very trigger happy, as far as like with my temper, and my wife like literally sat down next to me and very respectfully. Right. And this is where I think for all my ladies out there who listen to the show, how you present something like this to a man means everything. And my wife did almost the same thing that your wife did to you. She sat down next to me. I still remember where we were sitting on our bed, and she grabbed my hand and she just looked at me lovingly, and she's like, hey, I just want to let you know this. I don't want you to panic, because I'm not quite at an extreme yet, but I just want to let you know you're losing me. And I'm like, and I've known my wife this year. I know her. I've known her for 30 years. We've been married for 23. And I was like, what? And she's like, and I'm not, again, I won't go into the details for the sake of time, but she literally told me almost the exact same thing that your wife told you. It was a very loving way to say, this is kind of not what I signed up for. I'm not packing my bags or anything. I love you too much to see you keep going down this, dark place. But I need you to step up, because if not, like, I'm starting to think about life without you. I don't want to do that. And I love you more than anything. And we want you back. And that was a catapult kick in the ass to be like, and literally like I sat with it. I remember she got up and left for a second. I was sitting on the edge of my bed, and I'm like, okay, it's on. Let's go. And that was like, I don't know. That's what I needed to hear. So I totally understand that. And for all the ladies out there, if you're going to say something to your man, say it in that way, in a very loving, respectful way, not in a demeaning, emasculating way. It goes a long way if you do it that way. But going back to the brotherhood, so many men, TJ, try to white knuckle, lone wolf. I don't need anybody. But for you, there were people in your life that you had to lean on. And by the way, I guarantee they were leaning on you too, and you were that rock for them when they needed it. But tell me about why that brotherhood, or why those important people were so meaningful when you needed it in that place.
Yeah. Before I do that, so we talked about PTSD. My thing is PTG, post-traumatic growth. Yeah. And so that's one of the things I learned. I learned that from a friend of mine. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm totally going to steal this from you. He's like, good, do it. Tell your story, buddy, but do it with post-traumatic growth. I'm like, okay, I'm in. So I grew up with just like you, like small group of guys, 6 of us kids, still talk to them today. We still have our little chat group. and we're still together. Oh, it's amazing. And they have helped me out. And I don't think they realize how much they helped me out. Now, a friend of mine is a psychiatrist. He's helped me out quite a bit. So I called him and everything. He gives me a lot of advice. And they have been my rocks for since I was in the 4th grade. This is how long we've known each other.
Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah, they are an amazing group of guys. And, we had our ups and downs through our lives, but we are always there for each other. Always. If someone's having a bad time, whatever it is, calls, texts, whatever it is, they've just been amazing. And then I also have another core group that I went through a selection process with and went through a training course with and everything, and then deployed with over the years. And they know what I've been through because they have also been through that same, multiple crucibles, very similar, or if not the exact same. And these men have helped me out quite a bit. And I could call them and I say, hey, I need help. Or if I'm just talking to them, they could hear it in your voice. And I could hear in their voices as we do what we call our battle buddy checks and everything else, that are, our check-ins and everything. And then I've got another friend of mine who's also going through quite a bit. And he is, I guess, new to my circle. I kind of really met him a while ago, but really started talking to him very recently. Dave, Ozzy, he's amazing. And he also is now going through the same process I went. So we talk about it. He's like, what'd you do for this? What'd you do for that? How hard was it? How bad was it? Challenging? I said, brother, it was terrible. And he's like, oh my God. He's like, I can't believe I just sat there and cried for this lady for 20 minutes. I was like, right. And to have this brotherhood and the folks that have this shared experiences is amazing because, and I would say the same thing with my wife, right? She's got her core group of friends that are women and they share a lot of the same experiences and she can relate to them. And then for this brotherhood that I have, again, I could talk with them on things I won't share with my wife, and she talks with her friends that she won't share with me. And you know what? I am actually strangely comfortable with that. And I would rather her do that. I'd rather have other people do that as well, because that core group of friends, they will not pander to you. They will give you the straight skinny tea, whatever you want to call it. They'll give you whatever it is, right? So they will be tough on you, but it's tough love. And for this brotherhood, it is great. Like I said, I just had my buddy who came into that building and pulled me out of a indirect fire, mortar fire all around us. Because I actually slept through the first 2 hours. That was kind of crazy, but yeah. Well, we had a lot of operations leading up to that night, so I was like super tired. But I just talked to him, and this is what he's doing when I'm doing everything else. And another buddy of mine I've known for 30 years, like, hey man, you're writing he's read my book already. He's like, I can't believe you did this. He's like, I would never have written this. It's like, you're exposing who you are, like all the things you did. He's like, you're going to help out so many people. I said, I appreciate it. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, I would never do that. But he's been through the same process as I have. And so this brotherhood's been amazing. I have a group of men that I can lean on for help. And then again, and I am there for them. And, I would drop everything for my group of friends. And if they said, hey, I need you to here tomorrow, like, okay, I'm on a flight. I'm on a plane, train, automobile, whatever it is. I'll be there. And I can count on them for that. So that's been good. That foundation has been great. And that's why I tell people, have that foundation around you. You'll push them away. It happens. And just know that even though you push your foundation away, your team or your teammates and your family away, they're still there. They're still there. Yeah. And then when you're ready to welcome them back, they're coming.
Yep.
They're coming. And it may not be easy, but they're going to be there.
So the brotherhood thing, this is something that I'm obviously extremely passionate about, because 70% of men report being lonely. I can't remember what the statistic is, but I'm not going to make it up because I don't make up statistics. Because did you know 80% of people make up statistics on the fly? There's a statistic for it. So I know 70%. That one's been proven, but I can't remember what the percentage is off the top of my head. I used to know it, but it's a very high percentage of men report not having a 3 a.m. friend. Yeah. Someone that crap hits the fan in the middle of the night, they have no one to call, right? Which is really, really sad, because I honestly believe, and I think you do too, what makes a whole man is, yes, himself, yes, his wife, and yes, his kids and his family. But I think a whole man needs exactly what you just said, because there's things that we need to unpack that, quite frankly, I don't think our kids or our wives should really have to shoulder. I think we can bring them into the know, but I don't think that they're fully equipped to take on the tremendous amount of intensity and the emotions and how deep things run for us. But our brothers who do life with us, they understand it. And I love the example that you shared of your friend who's like, I can't believe you did this. Like, man, this is amazing. I could never do that. But here's the thing, TJ, by you, and we've seen this in our groups and in our coaching groups and all that, the man who is willing to go first and to be authentic. And I love the fact you said you were a sergeant major, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like somebody who's even at that level. I mean, how inspiring is it for the youngsters that you're around? You're like, this is what I'm here for. And hey, great that you're doing it too. Yeah. Because that, by sharing story, number one, gives permission for other people to share story, but also it's an example for a man that we view as like, oh, this guy is like tough as nails. Like he can get through anything on his own, lone wolf that. But then you see him like, oh, no, I need help with this. Right. And I'm getting the help. That's being courageous. And I love the fact that you nailed that, man. I want to give you a moment here, obviously, to share where people can find the book.
Thank you.
And I know you've got, you said Cool Bear, right?
The Adventures of Cool Bear.
The Adventures of Cool Bear. That's coming out?
Yes. So the first book coming out is Warrior Dad. And you can find that on warriordadstories.com. And on there, you'll subscribe to the newsletter, this, everything else. There's also a companion guide that goes with the book. And if you go to warriordadcompanion-guide.com, you can grab it from there. I'm also going to put that link on my website. So I built my website. I did have someone could do a good review, make some tweaks to it, but at the end of the day, they did the majority of it. And so I'll add those links to it. The book launch comes out Memorial Day weekend here in Lawton, Oklahoma, at the Southwest Oklahoma Brewery. And then And then the book signing is at the Southwest Toyota dealership on Monday, the 25th. So I'm looking forward to both those days. I have a really good group of friends down here that have really helped me out along the way. So it's been great. And I wanted to give back to the community here as well. But yeah, hit me up on warriordadstories.com and then hit me up on any of my social media, and then you'll see everything there. And then you'll see The Adventures of Cool Bear come up here shortly as I start to finish out that first half of the first volume, because that's been a bit longer in the making. But I wanted to get Warrior Dad out first. I thought that was the most powerful one. I think that'll hit more. I think I hit the audience a little bit better, and it give it just a better look on life and how you can actually come from the bottom of the well, work your way out of it, come out into the sunlight, and just be reforged and just be a much, much better person than when we started. And you'll see that story arc all the way through there. And it's really about the family that's helped me out, really helps us all out, our friends along the way as we go through all these trials and tribulations. And I want to say all of our successes, because they're going to share that with us too. We talk about trials and resiliency and everything else, but there are a lot of successes that our friends sharing with us, because that's amazing as well. And I wanted to offer a book for you, my friend, is The Obstacle is the Way. Ryan Holland, I think it might be.
Ryan Holiday.
Yeah. So yeah. Great book, loved it, and I love the ways it's like, hey, life isn't easy. You got to figure these out, and we're not paving a path for you. We'll help you. We'll give you opportunities, but you got to do it. I'm like, man, that's a great book.
That is a great book. I'm actually going to put that. I've read that book. It's such a good book. I'll put that link in the show notes as well. I'm also going to put in Jim Murphy's book in this, because we talked about that as well. But I'm going to have all these links in the show notes. And just so you guys know, I'm going to have TJ's Facebook, his Instagram, his link on his profile on X, as well as LinkedIn. So you guys can, and obviously his website as well. Go out and grab a copy of his book. Obviously, what a fantastic man. I'll also have a link for you guys in the show notes. We talked big time about brotherhood. As you guys have been hearing up until now, I'm going to be hosting a preview call of what we do in the Alliance. The Alliance has been around for 9 years. I've never done a preview call for the public to show them what we do, how our brotherhood operates, how we support each other, how we support growth, all of our resources. That's going to be February 25th, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central. And I'll have a link in the show notes for you guys to RSVP, to that call. There is no sales pitch, no nothing like that. This is for men who are just simply interested and curious about what we do. And for all my guys who used to do life with us too in the Alliance, if you want to see all the really cool things that we're doing with our new membership site, all of our new resources, all the really cool things that we have now, that will be a great preview call for you as well. But TJ, I can't even tell you how amazing this conversation was. You are such a good man, and thank you for being the brave one to write this, and thank you for being the brave one to speak about this. And there were so many moments in your life that were just like, I think every dad listening to this show can be like, oh my gosh, like your 6-year-old coming up to you. Like, we all feel that so much, man. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. This has been an amazing podcast. I have had a blast on here. Thank you so much for give me time to tell my part of the story too. This has been a phenomenal conversation, and I actually can't wait to listen to it as well. And look at it's because, and then I've listened to your other podcasts on here as well. And they are great. Your guests are amazing, and the messages they have are phenomenal for dads, fathers, the brotherhood, everything, just for men out there who are not just struggling, but just need some help along the way, or just another, a little, hey, keep going, you're doing great, whatever it is, right? Some motivation and inspiration there it's awesome. So thanks for reaching back out to me when I made my initial email, and you all have been phenomenal. This has been a fun podcast.
Me too.
It's the best one I've been on, brother. It's been great. Thank you.
Oh man, I thank you. You know what? I enjoyed this immensely as well. I just really enjoyed the conversation. And the thing that I didn't do, though, TJ, is I got to give people the link, right, for all this stuff that we talked about, which is you guys can go to thedadedge.com/1439 for this show. Again, thedadedge.com/1439. TJ, thank you again, man. This was great.
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate it, brother.